Kia ora everybody and welcome back to the kitchen. Tonight I thought I'd do my take, now this is my take so I don't want any sort of repercussions from this, my take on Chop Suey or Chop Suey. Now I've got my meat here that I've just chopped up into small pieces and I've marinated with a little bit of soy sauce and loads of garlic and ginger, and I've got my pot in here, my fry pan, which is heated up nicely, and I'm just going to cook it off. In the meanwhile, I've got all my veggies. I've got loads of veggies that I'm going to be putting in here. I've got bok choy, some onions, some grated carrot and a grated zucchini that looked a little bit lonely in my fridge, and some leftover what's it called, capsicum, just for colour. There we are, in there, and I like the flavour of it. And I've got a couple of pieces of vermicelli in here that I'm soaking in cold water, okay, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that very soon. In the meanwhile, I'm going to start cooking my beef. Yum! Oh, it smells so good. Now I got a piece of rump steak, and it was a cheap piece. It was only like $7 for this reasonable sized piece of rump steak, which is cheap for New Zealand, I'll tell you. And I've chopped it up into small pieces because it's going to be easy for us to fry off and cook, and it'll be nice and tender. But you could use chicken, you could use minced pork, you could use whatever you've got. So this is what I'm using tonight. So as soon as I've cooked that off, I'm going to take that out. Like as soon as it's all browned off and cooked, I'm going to pop it back into a clean plate, and then I'm going to start doing all the rest of my things. So let me get that sorted out, and then I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Okay, my beef's all cooked up, and that looks beautiful, and it just smells amazing. And I'm just going to keep that to the side and just let it sit there for a mo. I've heated up the fry pan again. I haven't washed it because I'm not into washing things. And that I don't need to, that is. And I'm going to chuck in my garlic and my ginger, and I'm just going to cook that off a bit with my onions. So I'll put the recipe up so that you won't need to worry about what the quantities are and things like that. And remember, this is my take, and what you might do might be completely different, and that's okay. So just do you, So I'm going to brown these off, and this will probably take a couple of minutes, and I'll show you what that looks like when we're all finished, eh? Right, this is browning off beautifully. Cooking love, it just smells amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my vermicelli to it and my beef in a moment. So let me do that, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Add my beef back in there. All that juice. Delish. And I'm going to get my bowl of vermicelli here. Actually, what I'm going to do, what I forgot to do, is use my kitchen scissors and just chop it up so that it's not going to be big, long, stringy bits. Yep, that looks good to me. Good enough. Now I soaked this in cold water because I didn't want it to get too soggy. I want it to be able to cook a bit more on the heat. Now I'm going to drain most of the water out, but I'm going to leave a little bit in there, okay, and add it to our pot. Okay. I'm going to give it a bit of a stir. And I'm going to add some soy sauce to it. Now, I've got low salt soy sauce, just makes me feel a little bit better about myself. And I'm going to add some to it, to colour it and to flavour it. Again, I'm going to give you the volume, the quantities and things like that, so don't be too concerned with what I'm doing. My cousin calls it my ho-hum measurements, and she's pretty much right. So, now that I've got that in there, and there's plenty of juice down the bottom, I'm just going to scrape everything down, and I am going to let that simmer over here for maybe 5 minutes, okay, until it softens up the vermicelli and starts to absorb those flavours that are in there. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm not going to do a bit of a stir fry, so I'm going to chuck all this together and then add it to my vermicelli in a moment. So let's see how that goes. I've got my chop suey just simmering over here beautifully and sucking up all those juices. I've just heated up my oil and now I'm just going to do a super quick stir fry. And I chopped up some red onions because I'm all about red onions. You know, I remember years ago hearing somebody say, eat your colours, and that's what you should do. You should try and get a variety of veggies in your diet. When we had 7 kids back in the days when we had all the kids back here, and mate, they were hungry as teenagers. They were like starving. We used to bulk up all our dinners with veggies. Okay, so we would make things like meatloaf and have lots and lots of veggies that were fillers, and it would double up the quantity of whatever we had. So after probably about 8 minutes worth of simmering, it's absorbed all that liquid, and our vermicelli noodles are beautiful and soft, and our meat's all ready to go. Yum, yum, yum. Our stir fry veg is ready to go. And so I'm going to get ready and I'm going to plate that up, and I'll see you soon. Look at that. Can you see that? That is my dinner. How good does that look? That looks so flipping good. I probably overcooked the bloomin' stir fry for a little bit. Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. So I'm just going to try a little bit of it. Steamed up my glasses. That is so good. That is so good. It really is. And again, it's a really cheap meal. $7 for the meat, the vermicelli, which is like dirt cheap, and the veg. Okay, and it was just whatever veg I had in the fridge plus a bok choy that I picked up today. So have a think about what you can do to save a little bit of money, since we have just hit 7% inflation here in New Zealand. And take it easy, and we'll see you soon, eh? Ka kite anō.